A line of roaring motorcycles stood outside the city hospital, chrome shining under the morning sun. 200 bikers, leather jackets marked with the same emblem, the Iron Hearts Brotherhood. The air trembled with silence as hundreds gathered, whispering, "Who are they protecting?" Inside, a fragile girl lay unconscious, her arm wrapped in bandages, her face bruised, but peaceful for the first time in years. The leader of the bikers stood at the gate, his eyes cold with fury but soft with pain. "Not one person touches her again," he growled. And the city fell silent. Before we begin this heart-touching story, make sure you hit like and subscribe to our channel, Goodness Corner, where true kindness still breathes. Lila had always been invisible. In her small neighborhood, people walked past her like she didn't exist, a thin girl with tired eyes, always wearing the same worn-out dress, carrying groceries while her stepmother barked orders from the porch. Her father had died 3 years ago in a factory accident, and since then, her life had turned into a quiet, endless ache. Her stepmother, Carol, was known for her charm outside, but behind closed doors, her voice turned sharp, her hand even sharper. She made Lila cook, clean, and sleep in the cold storage room behind the kitchen. If the girl ever cried, she was told, "Tears won't bring your father back." But what Carol didn't know was that Lila had one secret: every night, when she finished her chores, she climbed out the window and walked to the edge of town. There, she sat on an old bench by the gas station, watching a group of bikers repair their machines. They called themselves the Iron Hearts Brotherhood. They were tough-looking, tattoos, leather, loud engines, but they were kind. The leader, Jack, a rugged man with silver in his beard, noticed her one night sitting quietly under the streetlight. "You lost, little one?" he asked. Lila shook her head shyly. "No. I just like the sound of your bikes. They sound free." Jack smiled softly. "Freedom's a good sound, kid. But freedom's not free, you gotta fight for it." From that day, they became her silent protectors. They never asked questions. Sometimes they'd bring her food, sometimes a blanket. One of them, Maria, a strong woman with a scar on her cheek, became like a sister to her. "You got a name?" she once asked. "Lila," she said. "My dad named me after flowers that grow in sunlight." Maria looked at her gently. "Then we'll make sure you see the sun again." But darkness came faster than anyone expected. One winter night, Carol's anger erupted. A teacher had called home, saying Lila had come to school with bruises again. When Carol heard that, she dragged Lila by the hair, yelling, "You'll ruin everything, you ungrateful brat." Then, she hit her. Again. And again. The next morning, the neighbors saw flashing red lights. Lila was rushed to the hospital, unconscious. The doctors said she had internal bleeding and fractures in her ribs. The police questioned Carol, but she smiled sweetly, lying through her teeth. She fell down the stairs. Poor child, so clumsy. But what Carol didn't know was that someone had seen it all, Maria. She had followed Lila that night, sensing something was wrong. And when she saw what happened, she called Jack. By morning, Jack had made a call to every member of the Iron Hearts Brotherhood. "Brothers," he said over the phone, his voice shaking with emotion. "She's one of us now. And no one, hurts one of ours." By sunrise, 200 bikers thundered into the city. Engines roared. The ground trembled. They lined up outside the hospital, engines humming like a heartbeat of fury and love. People thought a gang war was about to erupt. But Jack raised his hand and said, "We're not here to fight. We're here to protect." Inside, Lila's condition was critical. Doctors worked tirelessly. And outside, the bikers stood guard, day and night. They brought food for the nurses, coffee for the police officers, and flowers for Lila's bedside. When news channels arrived, Jack spoke softly but firmly to the camera. "She's not just a girl. She's every child who's been hurt, ignored, or silenced. If the world won't protect her, we will. And that's when something beautiful happened. People began showing up. Mothers, fathers, strangers, bringing toys, blankets, and donations for Lila's care. The entire city, once indifferent, now stood behind her. Carol tried to visit the hospital, acting innocent, but the bikers blocked her path. Jack looked her dead in the eyes. "Go home. You've done enough damage. The law will take it from here." Carol sneered. "You think you can scare me?" "No," he said quietly, "but justice can." The next day, police arrived at Carol's home with a warrant. The neighbor's security camera footage, along with Maria's testimony, sealed her fate. Carol was arrested for child abuse and neglect. Meanwhile, inside the hospital, Lila opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was sunlight through the window, and Maria's smiling face. "Welcome back, sunshine," she whispered. Lila looked outside and gasped. Hundreds of bikers stood silently, holding flowers and balloons, their engines rumbling like thunder. She couldn't speak, she just cried softly, the first tears of freedom. And Jack, standing at the door, said, "Told you, kid, freedom's not free. But you've earned it." Weeks later, Lila finally woke to sunlight and the sound of roaring engines outside her window. 200 bikers stood guard, holding flowers and banners that read, "You're safe now, Lila." The city that once ignored her now watched in awe. Her stepmother was arrested, and the bikers' act of love inspired thousands online. When Lila could walk again, she stepped outside and saw the bikers cheering. Jack, their leader, handed her a silver pendant marked with their emblem and said softly, "You're family now." Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "Thank you, for showing me what love feels like." From that day, Lila became a voice for abused children, and the Iron Hearts became a symbol of hope. The city learned one truth: when hearts unite, even the loudest pain can fall silent. Backhand index pointing right. Like and subscribe to Goodness Corner for more real stories of kindness.